So you're feeling a little bit frustrated and stuck when it comes to your dancing or perhaps any skill that you've decided to take on. This is a normal part of the learning process, but there are things that you can do to help you sort of get over that bump and perhaps feel a little bit less frustrated and more like you are progressing in your journey. Here is your 3-step plan. And if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you a little bit of a mindset shift that will help you understand the process a little bit better and enjoy the journey a lot more. So first off, as part of the plan, you need to actually assess where you are. There's no point trying to get somewhere if you don't know where you are to begin with, right? So the first thing you want to do is have a look at how you are dancing currently. Again, this can apply to any skill, but let's take the example of dance. So what you want to do is try and find as many different ways of assessing your current situation as possible. The problem with something like dance is, yes, there is the technical aspect of it. It is very technical, but it's also aesthetic as well. So whilst you could get the technique perfectly correct, it might not look necessarily good on your body type and shape. So what we need to do is take as many videos as possible of you dancing, and take a range. Don't just take one and then start analysing it. Take a range of different videos at different times with different people of you dancing, number one. Number two, I want you to start looking more in the mirror when you dance. So practice in front of the mirror, do your technique exercises in front of the mirror. And three, I want you to try and get feedback or perhaps a private class with teachers whose style you enjoy or whose teaching you praise. So what you want to do then is you've got these 3 things. I want you to start analysing it, so you can see where you are, and not judgmentally. I don't want you to look at this and be like, oh, I'm not very good, or I hate watching myself because I can see all my mistakes and I don't like this. And that's actually a beautiful part of the journey. If you look at something and you can see your mistakes, like, you're already halfway to fixing those mistakes. The worst thing is if you look at videos of yourself and you're like, yeah, cool, I look good. Like, where do you go from there? Like, where do you go from there? So the fact that you can look at your videos and perhaps yourself in the mirror and be like, oh, these are the mistakes, is a good thing. Where it goes too far is if you start putting yourself down for it, or you start thinking, oh, I'm not a very good dancer because of it, or you start comparing yourself to other people, which is a big no-no. So all I need you to do is look at all of these videos, the mirror, constructive feedback from your teachers, in a way that's very critical, but positively critical, and that will then help you to set up for step number 2. Step number 2 is about strategizing. It's how you're actually going to improve. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, cool, I need to improve my basic, but how do you actually go about doing that? So this is where you strategize how you do it. Now, some things will require more specific ways of doing things. For example, if you see that perhaps your basic step is not looking how you want it to do, or your body movement is not as it wants to be, then you would benefit more perhaps from a private class or from a technique-based class, like a boot camp or any sort of technique workshop, really. So you would benefit more from those. If, for example, you don't like the range of movements, your vocabulary of dance, then you would benefit more from a group class. If, for example, you're when you social dance, or you're struggling with timing or things like that, then a mixture of group classes and social dancing will really help you out. And perhaps even YouTube videos which go through like the timing of the dance and the structure, the musical structure of the dance. There's different like solutions for different problems, and that's why you've got to assess first, figure out where you want to improve, and then you can strategize as to how you're going to improve. So things within that is group classes, private classes with teachers, online classes or YouTube tutorials, especially using mirrors in that situation, going to technique classes and boot camps, social dancing, going to things like festivals where there's lots of different teachers and lots of different styles. Now you've got, like, you know where you are, you know how to improve to get to where you want to be, but then you've got about a million things you want to work on. So maybe you're working on your posture, maybe you're working on your foot, how it turns out, maybe you're working on the range of movements, maybe you're working on your timing, your musicality, like your body positioning, small micro movements that you do with your body, like your facial expressions. There is so much that you can level up in when it comes to dance. Trying to level up in all of them all at once is the fastest way to either lead to burnout, where you're like, I just can't even deal with this, or complete and utter awful self-criticism. So you don't want to be in that place. And the thing is, you've got to remember that the people you're comparing yourself to have been dancing for a very long time. These teachers have been dancing for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. And people have different strengths. So for you to compare yourself to those people, you are doing yourself a disservice, because you do not know what their background is. You do not know how many hours a week they spend. People get surprised as to how many hours I spend a week dancing. Like, I am dancing all the time, and I'm perfecting myself all the time. So for you to compare yourself to a professional is, as I said, doing yourself a disservice. So let's take comparison out of it completely. And this does come into the mindset stuff I'm going to talk about later, but let's take comparison out of it completely, and let's take trying to do all the things all at once out of it. So the best way that I have personally found to learn, and it's the thing that improved me the fastest, is two things. One, having something to work towards. For example, if you've got a festival that's coming up and you're like, actually for this festival, like, I want to get to this point, or I want to be like this, or I want to dance like this, that is a good point. For me, it was always dance competitions. If I knew a competition or a performance was coming up, those two things would skyrocket my growth, because I had something very concrete and solid to work towards. But not only that, is it was something that was going to be very public. So it was a public performance or a public competition, or something that I was being tested on or graded on. So that allowed me to improve so quickly, because I had an end point and a goal in mind. So that's one. If you can get yourself to perform at something or to compete, then you're going to be in a good place, as long as you don't tie your sense of self-worth to the result of the performance or the result of the competition. See it as a stepping stone to help skyrocket your growth as a dancer. So that's the first one. The second thing is, just take one thing, just one single thing, and I want you to work on that one thing for months. Months and months and months. You think you can do one class and you learn one concept and then you've got it, that's it, that's how it works. No. You need to take that one concept, that one body movement, that one motion, and do it on repeat for months and months and months and months, until it is muscle memory. You don't have to think about it. For those that have been doing things like bachata and salsa for a little while, okay, so maybe your technique and your basic you're not 100% happy with, but where the foot actually goes, if you've been dancing it for a little while, where the foot goes, you don't have to think about it anymore. You know it's 3 steps at a tap. You know it's forward, together, back, together. Like, your feet know. Your brain doesn't have to be like, okay, let me physically move this back and forward, because there's something beautiful called muscle memory. So once you've done something, you've repeated something enough times, muscle memory kicks in. You don't have to think about it anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, you can go back and correct bad habits that you have developed, and that requires thought until it becomes muscle memory. But take that approach with everything. Okay, when you first start beginner's class, like, every beginner's class will start with, here's how you do the basic step, side to side, and you will do that every week for as many weeks. I always say try and be a beginner for as long as possible, so that you can work on your technique and your fundamentals, so that everything else, you don't have to think about your basic anymore. You don't have to think about your timing anymore. You can just think about your steps and then do all the fun extra things later. To give an example of this, I used to live with a dancer who was absolutely incredible at what she did, incredible. And she learned in China, she was from China, and they have that approach of one thing for a long time and repeat. At least her dance school did. So she would literally get me to do like this motion on repeat. So I just come up and down, and we would spend an hour, just one hand, then the other hand, one hand, then the other. The level of patience she had was unreal, to just sit with me for an hour to do that. But that's what I would do, and that wouldn't just be a one-off. We would do that so regularly. We would sit there, and if it was like a jive step, we would sit, and when we did not sit, stand or dance, and when we did the step, there's just like one single technique point. So I'd got the feet, but there was one thing where there was like an inhale on the step to like kind of lift your entire body up. And that one motion, which was literally takes half a second, we'd spend an hour just correcting that half a second motion. Do not underestimate the work that goes into becoming a good dancer. Do not do that. The best dancers I know have been dancing for years, and they've had things like competitions to like pull them up. They've had things like good teachers to tell them where they're going wrong. They have actively themselves seeked out information. So take your time, all right? And this leads me very nicely to the mindset point, is to enjoy the journey. Why are you frustrated? You get to every single week indulge in an activity which isn't work. You're not doing it for money, you're not doing it for other people. It's something purely for yourself that you get to do every single week. Something that brings joy, something that is exciting, something that is social, and you're getting frustrated. I understand the need for growth and progression, but not everything has to be a race to get to a certain point. And I understand, trust me, I understand the want to reach a goal, to reach a milestone, to be the best, to grow quickly, especially when you see other people growing and you're left behind. Like, there is a real, but you don't need to do that here. There's no need for it. Like, this is a point, like, dancing brings so much to you as an individual, like from spiking your dopamine levels because of like the music and like learning a new skill, to like your serotonin levels because you're doing something joyful, something that makes you happy, and your oxytocin because you're touching other people. Like, there is so much good that dance provides you on a daily, weekly, however often you dance basis, that trying to turn it into a source of frustration, or turning it into a I'm not good enough, or something where you're comparing yourself to other people, or something where you're getting annoyed at the process, is is insulting. It's insulting to the art form, and it's insulting to yourself. You do not need to be on a rat race 24/7. I'm sure you do that in the rest of your life. I'm sure you're super critical of other things, and you're competing with yourself or other people in other areas at work, in your relationships, whatever it is. You don't need to do that for dance. Like, dance is a place for you to come and enjoy, to leave behind the criticism, to leave behind the comparisons, leave behind the stress from the day's work, to leave behind job stresses, relationship stresses. All of that gets put to one side, and you come in as your wonderful, open to new experiences, relaxed self, and you take that opportunity to learn, take information in, really connect with people, to take advantage of your teacher's experience and your knowledge by asking really lovely, wonderful questions, and understanding how your body works, and if you're leading or following, how the other person you're dancing with works. So all of these things is what should form the basis of your dance practice. Not, I'm frustrated because I'm not getting better, or I feel stuck in this. Like, the journey, like, where are you going? Where are you going? Like, you're going, to what point, to what end? Do you want to be a teacher? Is that the end goal? In which case, then you need to take a completely different approach, and I'll talk to you about that another time. But if you want to be a teacher, the approach is different. If you want to be an amazing social dancer, take your time. Where are you going? It's all a process. We're all learning together. We're all getting better together. Being a dancer, being a human connector with your dancing is a beautiful thing that shouldn't be tainted by frustrations because you feel like you're not getting anywhere. Again, I don't think it's a bad thing to want to improve. Your growth is important, which is why I started with your plan, okay? See where you are, figure out how to get better, and then actually, commit to the practice. Like, I am all for improving. I am all for getting better. I'm all for looking at a video of yourself and being like, you know what? I'm a good dancer, but there's just that little bit there that I could improve on, and I'm going to spend the next 6 months getting better at it. So I am all for growth, but leave frustration outside the dance room. Okay, come in with beauty and joy and love for what you do, how your body moves, and the people around you. And trust me when I say this, you will have a much more wonderful experience with dance, a much more joyful experience with dance, and more importantly, you'll probably progress a whole lot quicker because you're not getting tied up in your own frustration. So if you feel frustrated and you feel stuck, take your 3-step plan, execute what you need to improve on, take your time in improving on it and do it the right way, and leave the frustration and negative feelings out. Get rid of them. I hope that video was helpful for you. I have some more videos here. These are the kind of videos that I would love if my own dance students would watch. Don't get me wrong, some of them are pretty old, so I will apologise now for the quality, but the information in there is still very, very relevant. So these are the videos I would want my dance students to watch, and I hope you enjoy them. I'll see you in the next one.